Richard Banson, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
First of all, let me say this is a tragedy. Our hearts, our thoughts are with the families of both pilots. We're all very, very sorry this happened. And I want to begin with the condition of the co-pilot, Peter Siebold. How is pilot Peter Siebold doing at this hour?
He's doing remarkably well, thank you. And we're hopeful that he'll be out of hospital soon, walking and his old smiling self hopefully soon back again. So no major injuries that can't be fixed.
Wow, that is very good to hear. What about the pilot who perished, Pilot Michael Ellsbury? He's 39 years old, and you said that the bravery of these pilots cannot be overstated. What can you tell us about this man?
He was an extremely brave man, and as all test pilots are, extremely brave people. He had a young family. He was married, and his family loved him enormously. I mean, he had a sister that loved him enormously, parents that loved him enormously. But he was a test pilot, and test pilots are trying to discover things that the 400 engineers and technicians on the ground can't necessarily see on the ground, and the test pilots push the aircraft to the limit before finally members of the travelling public are allowed on it. And obviously something happened which we will learn about to make sure it can never happen again.
This was the 35th time that Spaceship Two had flown freely. An investigation is ongoing. I know it can take up to a year, but what do you know at this point in time about what could have caused this?
Well, the NTSB are a wonderful group of people who investigate crashes, and they have a very strict rule, and that is no speculation. And in fact, the British press have, I think, rather irresponsibly, speculated that it might have been rockets exploding, it might have been fuel tanks exploding. In fact, there might have been an explosion. The NTSB have firmly ruled all that out, and have made it clear that they're coming down to one particular area or one particular thing that they believe happened. But if you don't mind, I'm going to leave it to the NTSB to let you know exactly what it is they think happened, and then we'll wait for their definitive decision.
I know you are limited in what you can say due to this investigation, but you are, at the helm of Virgin Galactic. You know about the science behind this. What the NTSB investigation has found thus far is that the feathers, or those tail wings on Spaceship Two, were unlocked earlier than they should have been, before it even reached orbit. What could that have done to this rocket?
Again, I'd rather not go into details because the NTSB are the experts at this. But as they have stated, it looks like it looks like they were unlocked early, and that's what they've said. And if that happened, something catastrophic could have happened as a result, and obviously did. So we need the NTSB to rule about the details, and I really don't want to get drawn on that because I'm not allowed to, and I'm not an expert.
You have called this a massive setback and a horrible day. Do you still want to take civilians to space?
We are at the start of building a space line for Earth. The 400 wonderful technicians and engineers have committed their lives to in the pursuit of human exploration and advancement, and to build a commercial spaceship industry that will deliver transformative things for people back here on Earth. So, point-to-point travel at tremendous speeds, satellites that will transform our lives back here. So we're not the sort of people that are going to give up. And I know that Mike would not want us to give up. He would have been the first back in the new spacecraft, when it's built. And we will continue until we've tested our spacecraft. And once they're well and truly tested and we've ironed out every little detail, then I will feel comfortable to go up,
well,
and I'll feel comfortable about other people going up.
Let me ask you this, Richard. A year ago, when I interviewed you in the Mojave Desert, right next to Spaceship Two, I asked you if the risk is worth it, and you said, unless you risk something, the world stays still. Given this, is the risk still worth it?
Yes, the risk is worth it, and as I say, Mike would have been the first to say that. I'm sure his parents and his wife and his sisters would not say that, but test pilots would say that because they know the risk they're taking, that they know the importance of what they're doing. We know the importance of what we're doing, if test pilots hadn't taken risks, we wouldn't have had the 747. Two of the comets blew up in the early days of airline travel, and now airline travel is as safe as anything. We've got to go through the difficult testing stage of creating a space line in order to make it safe for travelers who want to travel on that space line in the years ahead. We will persevere, and we will succeed.
Will you still be the first, along with your family and a few others, to take that first civilian flight into space, Richard?
There is no way that I would ask others to travel on Virgin Galactic unless I'd been the first to go myself, and therefore I will certainly be the first to travel. If I didn't feel it was safe enough for myself, I would not ask other people to take a flight. So, we will finish building the next spaceship. We will learn from what happened to the first spaceship. We will test it many, many times before we go, with many test pilots flying it, and then I will go, and then the 800 astronauts who have been so supportive and have signed up to go will start to go, and it will be still the start of a whole new space era. Obviously, as happened with NASA, with tragedy in its history.
You told me just a month or so ago that the first civilian flight you were hoping would go up in early 2015. How far does this push that back?
I think it would be too soon for me to talk about dates right now. All that matters is that we can, is that the 400 people who are working there push on, work enormously hard to get the new spaceship finished, and when we're ready and when we're completely sure that we have a safe vehicle to go, we will go.
Let me ask you this. CNN aviation analyst Miles O'Brien this morning said that you and Virgin Galactic, he believes, have, quote, consistently underestimated to the public what it takes to get to space, the risk involved. He said that there has been really a gloss painted on this that does not reflect reality. What is your response to that?
There have been some incredible things said over the last 2 days since the accident, mainly by the British press, not generally speaking by the American press. People have talked about rockets blowing up, and people have analysed at depth why the rocket blew up. They've talked about fuel tanks blowing up. They've talked about explosions, and lots of self-proclaimed experts have gone on television to explain why all this happened, when of course none of it happened. When you have incidents, you're going to get people who are quick to criticise what is a pioneering program. We have 400 of the best engineers in the world working on this. They are diligent, hard-working, doing something which is cutting edge. and I support them 100%. So. You know, we have to accept the occasional knock, but we'll brush it down and move forward.
I think what Miles O'Brien is saying is that the risk, he believes, was not communicated enough to the general public. Richard, do you think, I mean, going forward, is that going to change? Are you going to talk more about the inherent risks in this, or do you believe that has been fully communicated?
Burt Rutan, who was the genius behind the design of the spaceship, compared creating a space line to the similarity to creating airline travel back in the 1920s, 1930s. And I would stick with that. I would say that the risks are similar to flying across the Atlantic in the 1920s, 1930s. Not as good as they are, you know, in the 21st century, but still good. And we want to make it as good as that, and hopefully even better in the years to come.
You are nearing completion of the Series 2 of this spaceship to another rocket, just like this one. Will you send anyone into space, any test pilots into space on that rocket, before the NTSB investigation is complete?
The NTSB have told us to push ahead based on what they've discovered. They said and not to hold up the program. But obviously, you know, we believe we know what happened. But we need the NTSB to tell us exactly, to exactly what happened. And I don't think it's going to take long. They've got right down to, to pinpointing the issue, and I don't think it's going to take us long to find out exactly what happened and whether we have to do anything ourselves to fix it.
I'd like to ask you about your dream. I mean, you have said to me time and time again, this is the most personal project for you that you have worked on in your career. This is the toughest thing that you have ever done. And some have said this is about people spending $250,000, rich people, celebrities going to space. But you have said to me, this is about space exploration. This is about science. This is about point-to-point travel, New York to Sydney one day in an hour. This is about building hotels in space. What is this about for you?
This is about, as I say, creating the most incredible space line that can do the most incredible things for people back here on Earth. And you know, we have a dream to turn Virgin Galactic into an organization that where people here on Earth can marvel at it, where people can back here on Earth can share in it and experience it, so it will start by people who can afford it going to space. That will give us the engine of resource to then go and do a whole incredible range of incredible things. I mean, for instance, we're looking at putting up thousands of satellites around the Earth so that the 3 billion people who don't have mobile phones or internet access or Wi-Fi access can get it. It will also transform the cost that other people who do have mobile phones pay for their phones. We're looking at point-to-point travel in an environmentally friendly way, but at incredible speeds. And these are just some of the many things I think that that can come out of what I believe to be a wonderful project, and what Mike Alsbury believed to be a wonderful project, and we'll continue in his memory and in his name.
I want to ask you briefly before we end, Richard, about the new fuel mix that was used in this spaceship, a plastic-based fuel. You had recently just switched over to this fuel mix. Can you confirm this is the first time that Spaceship Two had flown with that fuel? And do you believe at this point that that may have had anything to do with the crash?
The NTSB have completely ruled out fuel tanks and have said there was no explosion and have ruled out any concerns about the rocket. I mean, you know, there have been a lot of self-proclaimed experts who've gone on to a lot of TV shows and written in the press, a lot of baloney, and we've just had to take it on the chin because you know, we haven't been able to say anything. We've had to leave it to the NTSB to say it.
Right.
But look, we have 400 of the best engineers in the world, and they're not going to take any risks. They're not going to do anything on board a spaceship that they wouldn't want to fly on themselves. Why would they? We spent 10 years building this program. So you know, so as the NTSB come out with their statements, you know, hopefully those people who've, you know, spoken, I think, so unfairly about the program will take their words back.
And Richard, let me end on this. I had the unique opportunity of meeting a lot of the customers who have purchased those tickets to fly with Virgin Galactic in the Mojave Desert last year. People of all walks of life, young and old, from all over the world. Are your customers standing by you? And I wonder what they have said to you over the past few days.
I have never had such overwhelming support, and everybody at Virgin Galactic have never had such overwhelming support. I mean, we've literally had hundreds of astronauts who are waiting to fly send us messages saying that they're still 100% committed, and we've even had 2 astronauts on the day of the accident sign up and send us the checks just to say, you know, that they want to see this happen and they want to show their commitment. So, and of course, millions of members of the public have been, you know, overwhelmingly supportive. So, you know, so on the back of that, I think it's given, you know, a wonderful people who are working so hard on it, and all the people that scaled, you know, great comfort. We had a 400 people hug when I was in Mojave Desert, and you know, we're very, very grateful to all the support.
So Richard Banson, we are very, very sorry for this tragic loss of life, and I'm glad to hear that pilot Peter Siebold is recovering remarkably well. Our thoughts are with him and his family. Thank you, sir, for the time.